My name is Kevin Doyle. I'm 29 years old. 3 weeks ago, I stood in the driveway of the house I grew up in, the same house I saved from foreclosure, and watched a moving truck carry out furniture I had paid for. My younger brother stood on the porch, holding a clipboard, not helping but supervising. When I asked him what was going on, he looked at me, calm and almost amused, and said, "You don't live here anymore, Kev. You never did." That was the moment everything I thought I understood about family collapsed. Before I take you back, you need to understand something. There's a point in life where love and obligation blur so completely that you stop seeing the difference. And if you get that moment wrong, it costs you everything. It started with a phone call at 11:47 p.m. I remember the exact time because I had just finished work and was about to shut my laptop. My phone rang, and when I saw it was my mom, something in my chest tightened. Calls that late never bring good news. I answered anyway. "Kevin," her voice broke before she even finished saying my name. I sat up straight. "What's wrong?" There was a pause, the kind filled with shaky breathing. Then she said it, "We're going to lose the house." 3 seconds. That's all it took for everything to shift. In the background, I could hear my dad, silent, present but not speaking. I asked how bad it was. She told me they were behind on payments, that the bank had sent a notice, and that they had 3 weeks. 3 weeks to come up with $108,000. The next morning, I sat in my car outside the bank, staring at my account balance. $121,347.82. 10 years of my life reduced to a number. 2 jobs, no vacations, cheap rent, saying no to everything so I could build something for myself one day. That money was supposed to be my future. A down payment. A start. But now it had a deadline. 3 weeks. I sat there for a long time before I made the decision. When I walked into my parents' house that afternoon, it felt smaller somehow. My mom sat at the kitchen table holding a mug she wasn't drinking from. My dad stood by the window, looking out like answers might appear if he stared long enough. I asked how bad it was. They told me. I nodded once and said, "I'll take care of it." My mom immediately protested, saying it was too much, but I stopped her. "It's not a gift," I said clearly. "It's a loan. We'll write it down. You'll pay me back." My dad looked at me and said, "I'll pay you back. Every cent." I believed him. That was my first mistake. We didn't write anything down. No contract, no signatures, no formal agreement. Just words and trust. And I told myself that was enough. 3 weeks later, the house was safe. The foreclosure was stopped, the mortgage brought current, and life seemed to settle again. For a while, everything felt normal, even better. My mom went back to gardening. My dad spent time in the garage fixing things that didn't need fixing. There was laughter again. Relief. And I adjusted. I cut back harder, rebuilt my savings from zero, and told myself it was worth it. 6 months later, I asked about the repayment plan. I kept my tone light, casual, careful. My mom didn't look at me right away. She said they needed a little more time to stabilize. My dad nodded and said, "Soon." That word stretched longer than I expected. 1 month became 2, then 3. And then Logan came back. My younger brother had always been different. Where I planned, he improvised. Where I saved, he spent. He had been gone for years, drifting between cities and jobs, and then one day he just walked back in like nothing had happened. "I'm gonna stay here for a bit," he said. A bit turned into months. Months turned into something permanent. At first, I didn't question it. He was family. He needed help. That's what we do, right? But then I started noticing things. A new TV. A better one. Then a new couch. Kitchen upgrades. Appliances replaced. Cabinets repainted. I asked where all of it was coming from. My mom smiled and said, "We're managing." That word again. The same word she used when they were weeks away from losing everything. I should have pushed harder. I didn't. That was my second mistake. The truth didn't come all at once. It came in pieces. One afternoon, I got a real estate notification on my phone. A new listing nearby. I almost ignored it until I saw the address. My parents' house. I stared at the screen, refreshed it, opened it again. Photos, description, price, everything was there, public and real. I didn't call. I didn't text. I got in my car and drove straight there. 20 minutes later, I stood in the driveway. The house looked the same, but something felt different. There was a lockbox on the front door. Before I could knock, the door opened and Logan stood there. "Hey," he said casually. Too casually. I showed him my phone. "What is this?" He glanced at it and shrugged. "Oh. That. We're selling." "We." I pushed past him into the house. My mom was in the kitchen. My dad sat at the table. Both of them looked like they'd been waiting. I asked them to tell me it wasn't real. My mom said it was. I asked why. My dad said it was time for a change. I reminded them that I had given them everything to save this house. My mom said they were grateful. I asked why they were selling it anyway. Silence filled the room until Logan spoke again. "Because we need the money." "We." I turned to him. "We?" He smiled and said, "Family." Something inside me shifted in that moment. Not broke, shifted. Like something locking into place. I asked about my money. The $120,000. My mom answered quietly, carefully, like she had rehearsed it. "That was a gift, Kevin." I laughed. I couldn't help it. It wasn't humor, it was disbelief. "No," I said. "We agreed." My dad cut me off. "We didn't sign anything." And just like that, I understood. This wasn't confusion. It was a choice. I asked if they really thought that money meant nothing. My mom said they thought I would understand. That word, understand, felt heavier than anything else. Logan stepped forward and said, "You gave it. No one forced you." And there it was. The truth, simple and exposed. I stood there, looking at all of them, trying to find something familiar, something that still felt like home. I didn't find it. I just said, "Okay," and walked out. That night, I opened my laptop, but not as a son, as an accountant. Numbers don't care about emotions. They tell you what actually happened. And what I found was worse than I expected. The $120,000 I gave them didn't go where I thought it had. They refinanced the house, used my money to stabilize the loan temporarily, and then redirected the rest. To Logan. Failed business investments. Debt. Opportunities. All funded by me. For the first time, I didn't feel hurt. I felt clear. The next morning, I called a lawyer. We didn't file for fraud. Too messy. We filed for unjust enrichment. Because even without a contract, there was proof, intent, reliance, and outcome. 6 months later, we were in court. My mom cried. My dad avoided eye contact. Logan looked irritated, like the whole situation was beneath him. I just told the truth. Every transaction, every conversation, every assumption. When the judge gave the ruling, it wasn't dramatic. Just a decision. The court found that the money was not a gift but an informal loan that had been misrepresented. I didn't get all of it back, but I got enough to start over. The house still sold. I didn't go to the closing. I didn't need to. Because by then, I had learned something I wish I understood earlier. Family isn't defined by what you're willing to give. It's defined by what they're willing to protect. And if they can take everything from you and still call it love, then it was never love. It was just access.